Hello, people. I want to deal with a subject right quick. Um, the question is law first? In a court of law, is law first? Now, we understand when Adam and Eve were told by God not to eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, lest you die. Well, yes, law was first. And I agree with that. Because when they ate of the forbidden fruit, they died. Yes. Their flesh didn't die right away, but spiritually they died. They had no chance to touch or eat of the tree of life. And they lived long years, but eventually they died. That was the curse of the law, in which Christ actually delivered us from the curse of the law. Now, law is still law, but I thank God for grace and truth, because if it wasn't for the sacrifice of Christ and him coming with grace and truth, well, we would still be in our sins. But his grace, unmerited favor, upon us asking for forgiveness, he forgave us and wiped away our sins. So yes, law is important, but law is standard. Law isn't God. Law isn't animated or spirit. No, it's standard. It's an idealism. It's laws that keep the peace, if you will, if we follow it. Now, the law can sit there for 1,000,000 years and never move. That's because it is simply a standard of living that we govern ourselves by to keep us from offending one another and hurting one another. Thou shalt not. So the laws in the books, as it is with our Supreme Court on down in the lower courts, they're laws. Laws saying that you cannot discriminate. Yes, this country has discriminated for centuries. But I thank God that law is not alone, or rather, you can't have law without evidence. In a court of law, when a person is being tried, you have to present evidence. So when people say law first, laws don't judge people. People judge people. So along with that law, you have to have evidence, proof. And so you can't have law without evidence or proof, and you can't have law without mercy. Because some situations, even though you have broken the law, so to speak, they consider the circumstances. So if you kill somebody or murder somebody, like to use the word kill, murder seems to imply another route. But when you kill somebody and they were, the circumstances is that they attacked you, well, then you automatically are exonerated. Yes, there are circumstances. You can't have law without circumstances. See, you can't have law in bias or prejudice, but you must have law with evidence, proof, mercy, circumstances. Then in the court of law, they look at motives, because if you have a motive, they want to understand what your motive is about. And so when they find out you was just hating and being jealous, well, then you murdered that person based on jealousy, like when Cain killed his brother Abel. Okay, Cain was in trouble. So, of course, the Ten Commandments hadn't been established then, but then there was still law, because God placed within us naturally a law that says, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself, so on and so forth. Yes. And so when Cain killed Abel, God questioned him on it. Of course, he said, am I my brother's keeper? Yes, we are helpers one to another, and we are our brothers and sisters, keepers, oh yes, of one another. So, yes, God questioned him on it, and God said to him that your brother's blood crieth out to me from the ground. What did you do? And so he confessed it, and God did what? He cursed him. God made him live and told the society, don't you touch him, let him live. To live, you're going to suffer the burden of having killed someone. And then the curse that nobody can kill you or touch you, you're going to live with that, and it's going to burden your mind and stress you out. Yeah, so you got to have circumstances. See, here Cain killed Abel because he was jealous of him. How many times have we seen that in the news? Where someone has killed someone just because they were jealous. And so, of course, you have situations like stand your ground law, where Zimmerman killed Trayvon, a boy who was unarmed, had some Skittles and something to drink, and he was on his way home. And Zimmerman, being the assailant, attacked the boy. Okay, first he called the police, and the police dispatcher said, leave the boy alone, which means don't touch him. So Zimmerman pursued the boy anyhow, in spite of what the dispatcher had told him. And they got into a scuffle. And the boy was doing what? Defending himself. Standing his own ground. Defending himself against an assailant, Zimmerman. So they're fighting. And Zimmerman becomes afraid that he might just get beat up. He takes out his gun and shoots the boy and kills him. They took it to court. They took it to court and exonerated Zimmerman. Let that man go free as if he did nothing wrong. And he was the assailant. So you say, those of you that say this, law first. Well, Zimmerman didn't have law on his side because he was pursuing someone innocent who was not a vigilante. But Zimmerman was the vigilante. And he went into court, and them lawyers sided with him. His father, they say, was a judge. I thought it was his mother. They tell me it was his father. Either way, they recognized that and let that boy off who killed an innocent young boy. Then they want to make something out of the hoodies, like something is accursed with someone that has a hoodie on. These people are inferior in their thinking. So, stand your ground law, as far as I can see, making comparisons and looking at what's going on in this country with that law. White people are being freed, are not held accountable, but black people who claim stand your ground are yet going to jail. So this is a biased law. It is a law without balance. You see? So you want to send us to jail when we are defending ourselves? Well, that's an American tragedy. Yes, because you have supposed to be intelligent people usurping authority, and they can't see that. The judges are wicked. They have been compromised and they're biased. You cannot usurp authority as it is with the law and be biased and prejudiced. But they are all the time. And so law first, when they said that you were an animal, 3/5 of a human, law first? Really? No, I don't think so. I don't think so. That law is bogus. And I'm not following no law like that. Thank God I wasn't born back then. Thank God. Oh my God. You people are worthless. You're sick to think that you can establish a law that says that I am animal. You want that to be recognized as law? Well, white people were running this country, and they were the majority, and they were the racist people killing innocent people, whether it was the Indians or the blacks, they were killing us. Okay? And so, of course, yes, you mean laws first? Yeah, okay. We need to contend with some of these laws because you make a misdemeanor something federal. So we have to go to jail and stay in jail for umpteen years. Just because you wicked white people, you want to house us, make money off of the incarceration system. And that's bias, prejudice. And so many of our black men are in jail. A criminal, I'm not crying about that. But then you can't have law without mercy, without evidence, without proof, because a lot of our black men are in jail because you didn't have evidence. And then the evidence you got was not proper. It was manufactured. And so, yes, a lot of men are being released here and there because now you have DNA that's proving that they was not the one that raped that woman. Okay? And so, we got to be careful what we say. We say things that sound big. Law first. Who the hell are you? Law stands alone. Law's going to do what it's going to do with or without you. But you need humans to usurp that authority, and it has to be based on evidence. Then there has to be mercy. Then you need circumstances, and then you must look at motive. Because some people kill at the spur of the moment and the heat of their anxiety. That's different than someone premeditated murder. So don't get stupid on me because you got women that have been bamboozled and just messed around with in court because they didn't have a lawyer. Because they were women in this male chauvinistic society. The man has the money, he has the lawyer, he can speak the jargon. Well, then the hell with court jargon, the legal system jargon. The hell with that stuff. If I tell you this man hit me 10 o'clock in the morning on such and such a day, and here's the papers to prove it, that man needs to go to jail. You don't need to exonerate him or side with him. There are judges siding with evil conclusions. There are judges siding with people that are clearly wrong in what they've done. Clearly wrong. But there are judges that are exonerating and giving people probation when they should get time. And you look at this bias, this uneven justice system, no balance. You got black people going to jail for 40 years. You got white people going to jail for a year. You have white people put on probation and given an ankle device to know to give their whereabouts and so forth, so on and so forth. But you got black people thrown straight in jail. You need to look at what's going on here, people, because stand your ground law, we don't need that to govern us. When someone attacks you, you should be able to defend yourself right off the bat. And if it takes you killing them to stop them, that's okay too. That can be overlooked because they attacked you. So where does the stand your ground law comes in at? It's a frivolous law. It's a law made by some racist people. They tell me Alec did it. Whoever did it is wicked, and it needs to be overturned and made null and void because it's biased and men are using it prejudiciously. White folks get off, black folks go to jail. That's what we're seeing consistently. So please don't tell me law is first, because law stands alone. Law is a certain value of standard. That's what law is. It sits there. And when you cross it, it points the finger at you with condemnation. So the laws has laws and bylaws that supports that. And if it has the law of you must go to jail for 50 years for killing 3 people, well then, okay, all that's law. And so you should go to jail for 50 years for killing 3 people. We understand that. But what we see is people, white people killing people, and they're being treated different than black people. Don't you see that? So there's a bias in the system, in the judicial system. There's prejudice. And you hear all the time, these laws, you can't have prejudice, and you can't be prejudiced, and you can't have bias. You hear them saying that. Well,